Welcome back, my fellow aggressive learners. In this session, we shall continue to talk about system font and Google font. So I am going to remove this because we've dealt with them. So we're going to talk about system font. Now, this font we defined, basically, one of the fastest way to do certain things now is to load this font is that your system basically have it. All right, if you're using Apple, if you're using Windows, if you're using Apple, you're using Windows, you're using Android or whatever it is, I think it is well defined. So let me quickly change this to what? To system font. All right, so I'm going to change this to what? To system font. I am going to type Apple. Yeah, here we go. Here's it. So I'm going to just drop this thing down a little bit just for readability sake. I hope I'm able to close this. Let me drop this thing down just for readability sake. Right now, this font family, all right, this font family, it helps us to have what to call, now look at this, system unit form. Now these things are in your system. If you're using an Apple system, these will provide you with all the set of fonts that are on that Apple system. And of course, you're using Mac, and of course, if you're using Windows, all right, and then of course you're using Ubuntu. I think one of them is for Android. I think that should be Oxygen or Roboto. One of them is for Android. So it doesn't matter the OS or the operating system you're using. There is a provision of font for it. Now, this is one of the one that developers are actually taking full control of. Let me show you something. Go to GitHub. GitHub. GitHub is one of the most like the famous software that is most common everywhere that developers are used to share code between themselves. All right, so I'm going to show you something very perfect because this is what everybody uses worldwide, and it's the most common platform that is used to what? To share code. I just want to show you something briefly so that you see. Now look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. Look at the font family that was used generally for what? For this. You can see Apple, Mac, or OS, Windows, and of course this Sergio UI is for Windows, all right, and so many other ones like that. So that's to tell you that this is one of the things that is quite universally faster. Why is it so preferred? It is so preferred because it loads faster. It's loading from the user system. Somebody is opening your browser, your software, and the fonts are loading from the person's device and not from your own device. It doesn't really matter. So that kind of very fast compared to the Google font that I'm going to show you in the future. All right. So in this session, now you know that there are specific font family. Now I can actually define my font family for all these guys. And if I remove this, you realize that it's going to affect whatever font family that I have defined. This is what is going to happen for what? For Windows. Remember we did all this. If I said just look at it, nothing will change. We're looking at H2, nothing changed, right? Nothing changed because this body has already defined the same thing. So this means that this is actually for what? For Windows. So all I want you to understand now is that what? There is a font for what? System fonts, and it makes system to what? To be much faster. It makes your system to be what? To be your web designs or whatever you designed to be what? To be fast. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at Google fonts and how we can make use of them. So Google font, I am going to type Google font. When I type Google font on Google, of course, I will get access to this. So I'm going to maximize this so we leverage on the power very effectively. Now I am going to say Roboto. There's a lot of fonts here, so I can choose any of them. Let me choose Roboto. So having chose Roboto, Now there are several types of roboto, several font style, thin. So if I want to add any of these, I can just quick search in. Let me say bold 700. So I'm going to click on this, and when I click on it, look at it. It has shown here. I think I've got some things that I need to remove. Remove all. Let me remove all this. I've got this in my browser since. So this is what I just added now, 700 tick. So I could go up or down and look for 500 tick and add it. And here we go. Now be very careful, because the more of these things you add, the more it kind of make your work to be a little bit difficult. It kind of make your work to be more because the browser have to go outside your web browser, outside your code, go online, come to Google Font and pick these fonts. So you can see that this is likely to be what? To be slower than what you expect. So you can even combine different fonts. All right, you can even combine different fonts. I can choose Prism, for instance. You can choose anything you want. Please go ahead and choose whatever that makes you okay. Of course, there are so many fonts that are here, and they are all of different category. So I don't like this Prism. I just don't like it. So I can come down. I want a font that look like just something unique. Just something unique. I just want to let you know that these things work. So while this is showing okay, I can go ahead. There's not too many extra fonts here, but I'm going to choose one. All right, I'm going to choose one. I'm going to choose one, and that one I want to choose is not Roboto. Oh, it's not Roboto. Okay, so let me see if I've got so many fonts here. Okay, good. So let me use this Balo, right? Just Balo. Let me use Balo. So Balo, I'm going to choose 400 font of Balo, and then I'm going to use so I'm trying as much not to over 200 italic. So that's it. Now this in my font family, I'm just going to define these two, and that's it. Or I choose Roboto. All right, I'm just going to choose this, or I choose Balo. All right, whatever I want to do. So but if I want to define this in my CSS, how do I do that? Just now, these are the things I selected. I'm going to close them. I've closed them. I come here, I click on import, and then I select this, not with the style, just from the import. I copy. Once I do that, of course, I come to my code. Now, you are going to make sure that this is the very first thing that is on your code. Very first thing at the very top of what? Of your work. Of course, comments are not readable. So it should be the very first thing. You can leave it either before the comment or after the comment, whichever one that is convenient for you. All right, but this is okay. You don't need to write any code. You don't need to write any code, any CSS rule before your import statement. It does not apply. All right, it means that your font is going to override that rule if there are certain things you define there. So it must be at the very top of your what? Of your file. So now that I have this, I can actually come in and change my font. All right, I can do Roboto. In fact, it's right here. I can use this. I can use this, as simple as it is. So in case Roboto is not found, my system by default has sans serif, and that settles it, right? So come here. If you refresh, you see that your system is already using what? Sans serif. Otherwise, if you want to use Roboto, it is up to you too. So you copy. You can see it has changed. So whatever you're using, make sure it is what you have selected within here. All right, so that is how Google Font works. So I can go ahead and be very specific and say my H1, my H2, my H3, my H4, my H5, my H6. I want all of them to have the same font. And the kind of font I want them to have is what? Barlow. Barlow. I want them to have this Barlow, for instance. It's a choice. It's a choice. It's something you can define generally for all your header. That means as you begin to travel across your pages, irrespective of the way it look, all of them will always have this font size, except if the person does not have sans serif, but it's not possible. The person, if this does not exist, or in case there's no internet or whatever it is, and Barlow is not found on the font Google font, it's going to pick from your system and show up this. Otherwise, this is also not as fast as the system fonts I showed you. It's not as fast as system font, because your browser had to travel outside to pick this font from Google before it will come and display it on your browser. So in that note, I believe you now know what system fonts are, and you also know what Google fonts are. And the only way to be better in this is to continue to exploit them, continue to exploit, then practice them, test them out, do whatever you want, but just always know that there is system fonts and there is Google fonts. And anytime you define two fonts, it means that if this is not there, the second one should take effect. And if that one is not there, nothing happens. But it's not possible that you won't have sans serif on your system. All right. So on that note, see you in the next class, and God bless you.